The Fortnite microtransaction economy is heavily influenced by things like time of release, the skin itself, and rarity. Rarity of skins makes owning certain skins that cult mentality where if you have it, you're part of the cool kids club and you're pretty neat or something like that. I'm not exactly too sure, but at that same time, you get bullied for not having a skin or being a default. You get bullied for not having any rare skins because you don't have any rare skins and you only use the latest skins. And then if you do have the rare skins, depending on which one you have, you also sometimes get bullied for being a wannabe pro player. So there's not really a situation where you can win there, but we don't care what people say, all right? We still don't think that they should stunt the rarity of skins by bringing them back when they were supposed to be seasonal limited editions for the purpose of exploiting popular demand. Is it brilliant that Epic Games does this in a really messed up, maniacal way? Yeah, it is. Anyway, with all that, smash like, subscribe if you're new. Welcome to Top 5 Gaming, and let's get into it. Number 10, Power Chord. For those fans of a bit of metal or rock music, then the Power Chord was probably right up your street. To be fair, it was a pretty awesome skin all around, but would still cost you a hefty 2,000 V-Bucks for that legendary status. Power Chord is the only skin in the Volume 11 set at the moment. Her description reads, "Bring on the noise complaints," and looks about set to go on stage. With a purple guitar backbling streaked with lightning, you can see why the skin gained quite a bit of attention pretty quickly. In all honesty, a lot of people got Power Chord simply for the guitar. During its release on the 25th and 26th of March, the skin did do fairly well, and you could see a lot of Power Chords and pink guitars in the battlefield. But after those 2 days, it wasn't seen in the item shop for another 6 months in September. A lot of Power Chord fans were really happy with this. After all, it is legendary and you expect them to be rare, but some people even began to assume that we wouldn't see it again, as not many people actually used her after a while. Maybe the back bling, but that was about it. Unfortunately, it ended up returning not only in September, but also a month later in October. So even though it's a legendary, technically it's not that rare anymore. Even though it's been a couple months since its last appearance, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it roughly every few months on rotation through the shop, which is just unfortunate. Number 9 is the Skull Trooper. Oh my goodness. In terms of most talked about or famous skins in Fortnite, I'd say it's fair to assume that the Skull Trooper would at least be in the top 5. Not sure about number 1 though. You'll have to tell us what you think the most famous Fortnite skin of all time is, but the Skull Trooper definitely holds a ranking. First appearing during Halloween in 2017, this skin was an instant hit. For those that favored the slim build and stealthier approach, then this Skull Trooper was perfect. Maybe you were just a fan of the Karate Kid films, got the reference from the movie, and bought the skin out of nostalgia, but either way, you now own one of the most valued skins in all of Fortnite. It appeared for 4 days in the item shop before disappearing for what seemed like would be forever. Speaking of most valued, kids would often sell accounts with the skin on them, which we don't condone, for upwards of $1,000 to $5,000. When you buy a really good skin, there's a part of you that wants it to stay rare. Every 24 hours, you never know. That item shop could refresh and suddenly your skin's common again. Well, it seemed like Fortnite had an idea to make everyone happy. A year later on Halloween, they bought the Skull Trooper back, but with a twist. For new owners, they would get the white and green variant, but for the OG Skull Trooper owners, they would get a unique purple style. Kind of worked, but in the end, it still made the Skull Trooper in general a common skin like every other one. A lot of people feel like it should have never been brought back in the first place, especially for those that just want to use the original white version of the skin, which there's no real way for you to differentiate it between from the old version, so they kind of messed it up. Number 8 is the Snorkel Ops. The Aqua style costume first showed up in February and hasn't stopped coming back into the item shop at least once a month up until October. A lot of you probably know this Snorkel Ops character as being one of Dakota's favorite skins. I'm fairly sure he used this skin for most of 2018, changing it up every now and then. This might be the reason it was being brought back so much. Like most streamers that favor a certain type of skin, a lot of their audience will also want to use it. If Epic Games can make some money out of it, then it's no surprise that we saw it showing up on the monthly so everyone could have a chance to spend those V-Bucks and become a member of the Snorkel Ops gang. Although now that the seasons and the years are changing, it seems that the ASAP Scuba Gang hype has died down. You guys remember ASAP Scuba Steve? This is him now. Since October, we haven't seen the Snorkel Ops skin in the item shop, and maybe it might stay that way. Only the OG viewers will be part of that Snork Ops gang, but in at number 7, we've got the Crackshot. Now, I don't know about you, but the Crackshot skin isn't exactly my favorite. It's actually terrifying. The guy looks like he's actually gonna bite your nuts off or something. In fact, I'm often left wondering how it managed to get through it as a gold skin in the first place. It only appeared for a short time in January last year surrounding the Christmas season, and it didn't show up anytime soon after. So the assumption was that the Crackshot wasn't coming back. Christmas had ended ended, so it makes sense that they wouldn't bring him back anytime soon. Now, if you were a fan of the Crackshot, then this is brilliant for you, as it's now a rare skin. And if you find him a bit weird and creepy, you have no worries of bumping into one too often. It was a win-win scenario. That was until they brought the Crackshot back a year later, and now with his own back bling, the Birdshot. It's this little wooden cuckoo bird that you can see in the Season 7 trailer, where he's popping out the clock. It's a nice back bling for the Christmas theme, but many don't think they needed to re-release the Crackshot with it, that Epic Games should have just kept him as a rare skin. And in at number 6, we've got Raven. Now, the Raven is obviously going to be a popular skin. It's your typical style of character for a lot of different games, that cloaked in shadow, dark, ominous look that you might get from playing with a high agility and sneak character like something out of Skyrim or the Grim Reaper. We recently showcased how Fortnite's Raven was inspired and styled after the similar Raven character from Overwatch, and when it was released in April 2018, you could be sure to find lobbies full of this new skin. It may cost you a chunky price for that legendary skin, but nobody was really bothered. At the time, this character was one of the first of its kind. Sure, it had skins like the Black Knight, but this was also a legendary, so a big assumption was that it wasn't going to frequent the shop so much. Unfortunately, it seems that the skin was selling so well that Fortnite put it back in the shop another 8 times before October. Kind of taxed that legendary grade out of it a little bit, but when it shows up as frequently as some commons, at the moment though, we hadn't really seen it for months, so hopefully it'll gain its value once again. Number 5, the Raptor. Okay, so if you thought that the Raven was appearing in the item shop a lot for a legendary, then that's nothing compared to the Raptor skin. This yellow pilot-like skin first showed up in January and has shown up in the item shop over 16 times before the end of the year. The Raptors are a really neat looking Air Force skin, little bit of a highlighter hype beast. It costs 2,000 V-Bucks for its legendary status, yet it pops up every few weeks in the item shop like it's worth 500 V-Bucks or something. Like a lot of skins that showed up frequently in 2018, it seems like a lot of them stopped showing up towards the end of the year. But the Raptor skin finally took a break in October and hasn't been seen since. Fairly similar to the Raven and a lot of other skins, only time will tell as this year goes on whether we'll be seeing them again. And in it's your number 4 spot, we've got the Galaxy skin. So how many of you watching were actually able to get the Galaxy skin? Sure, you might be able to afford $1,000 plus Samsung Galaxy just in order to the skin, but you don't always need to have money. Sometimes you might just be lucky. The Galaxy skin comes as a code with the phone, so if someone in your family or someone close happened to be getting that phone, you might be able to haggle the code off of them. With all the methods we saw flood across YouTube on how to get the Galaxy skin, it's quite surprising how little we see. There's a lot of players who will go for months without seeing one, and the big question a lot of people are asking is why did they introduce it exclusive with the phone? Sure, we get it, the whole Galaxy thing, but they could still have done it to a much less extreme extent. It's what a lot of people would consider one of the best skins in the game, yet no one will ever really get to see it. It's kind of a waste in that sense. But in at number 3, we've got Drift. So we had a few transforming skins before. We've got the Omega and the Carbide, but the Drift skin was one of the first skins to introduce clothing styles that weren't within normal hitbox regions. The Drift skin was part of the Season 5 Battle Pass and would add different parts to his outfit as you leveled up. The only problem was that the items you were unlocking seemed to be worse than what you already had. In the last few stages, you unlock a giant robe-like outfit that takes up a lot of space on the screen. It doesn't add anything to your hitbox though, so bullets would go straight through it if your body wasn't really in the way, but the fact that this cloak took up so much space and would constantly get in your way as you moved around made the Drift skin a very unpopular outfit. If you do find a Drift nowadays, they tend to have the basic outfit on with just the tank top and trousers. But in at number 2, we've got the Red Knight. So the Red Knight is one of the most talked about skins when it comes to the item shop controversy. She first made her appearance in late January to match up with the male version of the Black Knight, which all belonged to the Fortnite set. One thing she had over the Black Knight was her own pickaxe. You could get the axe caliber, but it didn't really have that same matching color that the Red Knight one does. Now, she was around for a few days and showed up once the next month in February, but after that, she vanished. The Red Knight fans rejoiced in having a limited skin. That was until once again, Fortnite decided to just up and bring her back for every month after June. There were a lot of complaints when this happened. Since then, we've kind of just gotten used to it, but at the time, this was one of the first major times a rare and valued skin just showed up again. Number 1. Merry Marauder. It's the most unhappy cookie monster of your worst nightmare, the Merry Marauder. For some reason, Fortnite seemed to nail the skins last Christmas. There were a whole bunch of Christmas outfits that were forced, and the Merry Marauder was one of the most popular of them all. It only appeared for a few days during January, and during that year, it never showed up again, and its value just skyrocketed. At first, it was just another Christmas skin, but as people started to realize how little it was showing up, we soon found the Merry Marauder becoming a very popular skin. Just like Myth used the Skull Trooper to code photos used the Snorkel Ops, laser beam was probably the most known for using this merry Marauder out. However, it's almost like Epic Games are trying to make some easy money, because the very next Christmas they do the same thing they did with the Skull Trooper, bringing it back but slightly different from the OG owners. We get the idea, but it's still gonna cause there to be a whole bunch of cookie men running around and controversy. We just want it to stay rare. Click the like button if you've enjoyed, or if you agree. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, push notifications on, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.